Welcome back, part 2, front bumper, headlights. I've brought you out the front to the scrap pile in the trailer because I wanted to show you this VW Beetle wing, pretty knackered, and I wanted to point you out to that. That is a light pod. The relevance, wow, some of you that have been watching regularly will know what that relevance is because I've cut those out and they fit on them two brackets there. Those brackets tilt. They've got to come off because I need to grind them down, take the sharp edges off, all that lot there and around there. So there you go. There is 2 pods off a VW Beetle wing, but they are in remarkably bad shape because, wow, they do what all VWs do. They rot under the bonnet where the light is. So unfortunately the metal is going to be troublesome to weld. Even with low heat I was blowing through like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, what's the process of this? Well, it's simple really. I'm going to sandblast them all back at some point just to get rid of the rust. I'm not so much bothered about the paint. I just want that rust gone before I go any further into these. I'm going to get some sheet metal and I'm going to make up a steel plate that can weld on the inside edge there. I need to keep that lip if I can. Once I've got that made, I'm then going to cut the centre out. In fact, I might cut the centre out before I put them in because I don't want the plasma cutter burning through this material inside. Once I cut that out, we'll then turn them over and we'll start looking for all the little pinprick holes. Like this hole here needs a new plate put on, but it's so thin around that edge I don't even know how successful that's going to be, if I'm honest. Like there you can see the rust poking through, so I'm liable to go through at that point. That's not so bad, that one. This is the worst of the two. I mean, it's really bad. I've got a whole load of it there. I've got some down there. I've smashed out a few dents. So yeah, we've got our work cut out with these, but I've got to have them. I've got to have them, period. There's the first ring cut. I've dot punched, marked, using the rubber template. I'm a little concerned about the headlights though. I got these out of a redundant fire engine or fire appliance, but the patterns are the same on both headlights. I'm not 100% sure that's how they're meant to be, but who knows. I've wire brushed it, not ground it. The metal is already thin, and if I grind it I'm taking a layer of metal off and making it even harder. Well, it's not pretty, but it does work. There you go. Good enough for me. We just got that one to do. There's quite a lot there and we're in danger of blowing through. What might pay is to leave this one here, I don't know if you can see where my finger is, leave that till last because that hits that lip right there. If I put the plate on, I can then weld round that, give me more meat, and then I can patch it up. Yeah, I'll be left with some lumpy bits, but it won't affect this. So I've had to patch that one. You won't see that once the lip goes on. You know, the fascia plate, won't see it. Not ideal either, but great. That's both lights now done. Painted up the insides. Loads of hammerite. I literally just chucked it in because I know that these are going to get a lot of water in them. All that's left to do now is bedline. I had a little bit of trouble with this one because for some unknown reason the plasma tips that I got that I bought the other day, not one so far has been successful in cutting a neat and even line. It seems to be blowing out sideways, the jet, for some reason, with these blinking things. So I might order some more from a different seller and chuck those away, because when I cut that circle out, I must have ground down at least a centimetre around it of just burnt flaky metal that, in fact, I didn't think this one was going to go in, to be honest. I was going to have to cut another one out with a grinder. It was that bad. And I keep putting new tips in, and every time I use a tip, you get about 4 seconds of decent cutting, and then that's it. It's gone. Shot. I don't know what's the matter with them. Really don't know what's the matter with them. But anyway, these are now ready for bedline. I've got to do a little bit of sandblasting first. Okay, so I chose not to show this bit because you've all seen it. You all know how to put filler on. So what I did is sandblast around that edge with that little gizmo thing I got over there that you saw in the last video. I've put rust treatment over it as well. You can see the purpley colour. So what rust was left that I couldn't get rid of, because these have been sanded and wire brushed and everything, they're in a pretty bad state. In fact, that one was in a worse state. That's had more holes plugged up than this one. So that's been done. I'm now at the point of putting filler on, gently DAing that back just to get some shape back, and I've got a can of filler primer which is going to get sprayed on top, and then tomorrow I'll just give that a gentle sanding and wash them down, and hopefully we can get some bedliner on. Thought I'd throw some bedliner on that bumper, just what was left in the can, just to see what it would look like and where it's going. And I have to say, ain't too bad. I'm afraid it's going to be a little difficult to work out what's going on, but there you go. Best I can get them. Consider them where they started from to where they are. I think they're pretty damn good. The answer is we need one of them in there. I was going to use some pipe and make up a tunnel like I did with the pop lights that go on top, but I think realistically that isn't going to work. Blending that all in is really difficult. Too many right angles. But if I use flat and we mount that to that area there, which I might add does not fit at the moment, the lights are too big, then we can cut that piece here into the side of the bumper, and then we can trim this side up with an angle there and then blend that into the curve on the other side. So you plate that off, we weld that up, we weld this straight to the back of the bumper. We've then got all of that metal underneath as a reasonably decent strengthener. We can always put another piece of steel plate underneath to toughen that up if we have to. Not an issue. Then we can cut a tube out, weld that inside, and then the light can sit in. But as you can see, there is a massive difference in sizes. There we go. I pulled them out of the shed because they weren't drying fast enough. What I put down over here has already dried, but they were not drying quick enough. So I've gone over them one more time and I've hung them up like washing, and that's where they're staying until later on. I will then take them down and I will hang them back up in the back of the shed overnight so that they can properly cure off. Now, bumpers off. What a mess this is. Now I've had to jack the bench up because it just isn't strong enough to, those wheels just ain't got the strength in them, and I'm starting to get a bit worried. What with that motorcycle sitting where it is, this thing sitting on there, plus, right, check it out, solid piece of steel that I use as my workbench top, and it's a big piece and it's a very heavy piece as well. What with the concrete crumbling underneath, I mean it's just powder under there. That's why I haven't swept up, because every time I sweep up it just fills the shed with dust. I usually wait till about now, where I'm at now, where I get the spade and literally scrape everything back, but eventually I've got to sort this floor out. But with all these bloody projects I've got going on, plus all that little lot, I don't know when that's going to be. I can see myself moving house 20 years before I finally get around to sorting it out, by which time we'll be packing up and clearing off anyway. So anyhow, off subject, we're going to sort this out. So all I'm doing today, nothing special, I'm just going to strip the winch off, put that out of the way somewhere so I can do the repairs on this here paint. Then I've got to drill these out, get those plates off both sides. I've also got to remove that. Then I've got to clean up all this rust, in here. There's loads of it. And then we've got to turn it over and we've got to figure out what we're doing. I can see me actually, this is end of day 2, and well, I kind of hacked it up because it wasn't working anyway, but I went a little bit too far there. I should have gone to that line but didn't. It's not a problem, I can grind that back, put a grinding disc inside the gap, weld that back up. Other than that, it is what it is, isn't it? So I've got to cut a piece of steel, preferably that bit, and that's going to get slotted in to this angle and that flat bit there. And then what I'll do, imagining this piece of steel is now connected, we'll slice it off at an angle and tip it like we did on the back. Right, so that will go in there like that. Now that's looking at it flat down like I already joined. And I'm thinking about adding a second one up here, just so I can extend that area for the light, but it will go up and then go down at a funny angle deliberately, but it won't exceed that height. I may even cut that tube there off and remake that tube to come further out, and maybe put an extra plate in there, but we'll see as we go along. This is one of them make it up as you go along things with me again, I'm afraid. So I can only do what I can do. Also going to grind them back, patch up them holes, and another thing I'm thinking of doing, just to make it life a bit easier, is cut these out here. Right, before I get into the work in the shed, I thought I'd just bolt one of these on, just so you get an idea what it looked like. There you go, a Volkswagen Beetle headlight bowl from a wing, cut out, new faceplate put on as you saw, welded around the inside edge to get that flat edge, patched up, painted up inside, bedliner Cobra on the outside, and old numbnuts here forgot to drill a hole for drainage on the inside. We'll sort that out at a later date. Okay, so I ground back on that side, I I've ground back this side, and that rough bit of cutting I did, I put the grinder in that slit and I'll weld that back up and regrind. I've also cleaned off the rust on that bit and on that slope on this side as well. Now what I've got to do is I've got to figure out the angle here for that piece to go on, and then I've got to figure out that little bit of angle there for that piece to go on, and then I've got to work out what I'm going to do with that bit, whether I'm going to go down to an angle or just keep it dead blunt. Haven't got that far into it at the moment. A length that's going to work for this, and a style. I thought about this. I was going to make them go dead straight along each side, but I've actually flicked them up a little bit, and we did speak about that. Haven't quite done them in the style that I said I was going to do them in, but I've done them. So they're tacked on. I dare not weld them yet because I still don't know if I've got these flipping things to smack on straight or not. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about these corners, how long they're going to be, and whether their side put another piece on top or just go with a round piece in order for the spotlights to work. And that's the whole point of this, spotlights. I really want them on the front. You'll understand. Okay. Looks more violent that side than it do this side, but according to the measurements it's smack on. Right, update and dinner break. Finally got that on the right angle. That was off completely. Shortened them, trimmed them up to match the back, and they're shorter than what the wheels are. The wheels would probably be about here. I don't know how that's going to go down with the MOT, but we will see. If they don't like it, then I will have to build it up bigger. But I can't see any reason why not, because I have wheel arches, so I've got deflectors of sorts, but we'll see. If I have to build them up, I'll add another piece of metal to there and go off at that angle or something, I don't know, and then maybe come off with a bar. I don't bloody know, to be honest with you, but what I do know is this is as far as I can get it at the moment. I need some sustenance. I'm hungry, and I've got to figure out where we're going with this, because I'm off track. I've had to repair so many problems. The initial bull bar at the bottom here wasn't quite straight. It's lower, it's higher up there and lower down here. So when I put the two bumper bits on and got the angles right, it didn't work right. My God, this thing's heavy. So yeah, as you can see, I've had to pull this piece of box away from that because it's just angles are all wrong. I ain't rebuilding it, so we'll go with it. I can repair that, or at least I can get round it anyway. So we've just got some rust to grind off and moving on to the next bit. There you go, something like that. So we've got to make a cover to go up and down. Well, my apologies, because late last night drew that out. This morning I was not convinced this was going to work, so instead of filming it all, I just decided to just get on with it, you know, crack on, get on with it, and I did, and that's what I came up with. Go two spotlights now fitted as best as I can get them. So what's left, we just got the bottom angle to put in, and we've got the end caps to put in, and we've got a couple of gussets and some strengthening to do. Remove the terra firma lead, and then we can just give it a bit of a wire brush and hit it with some bed liner. I've been staring at this for about half an hour thinking to myself, there's something missing. Do I need to add a little extra length to it? And then I looked online at some extreme bumpers and some right short ones for Jeeps, and I've got that Jeepy look, so no. And then it suddenly dawned on me. I completely forgot about that. Can't go any further with this. It's now ready for paint. There's no more fabrication. I've wire brushed as much as I can. Oh, hang on, I ain't done that face yet. Okay, so I've got to do that face and that face, but other than that, it's done. And that face. Okay, so it's nowhere near done yet. But there you go. I'm going to leave this video as is. Don't judge me for that fair lead hole, okay? That was the first time I used the plasma cutter and I thought I could do that hole freehand, only to discover not a chance in hell. It was a learning curve, a very painful learning curve. So once the fair lead is on, it looks okay, trust me on that one. Anyway, we're there. That's as far as I can take this now. I am actually really pleased. It's changed shape so much. It's not even recognisable from the previous design that I put together. So yeah, tomorrow we'll get the old bed liner on it. There you go guys, bed lined. But we got a mistake made. I didn't spot it until I pulled it out and painted it. I wonder if you can see it. That'd be longer than that one. For some unknown reason I've got more overhang on that side than I have on that side. I've measured the legs each side and that one is shorter than that one. I do not know what the hell went wrong. I ain't got a clue. But it's something that's going to have to be addressed. Hack that corner off very carefully and re-weld it back on, grind it back. We've still got a little bit of bed liner left over because we've got this to do as yet. The waste that I had left over, I covered the entire interior there, including that wheel arch, because it needed it. I was going to use the waste to fill that side up, but don't look like that's going to happen now. So what I'll do is I'll pull that one off, and once this is dried off, hopefully tomorrow, we'll cut into that with the plasma cutter and attempt to shorten that side up. We'll grind it all back, weld it and repaint it. The light in here is terrible, isn't it? I'm struggling. Anyway, I've done the best I can. I've actually cut about a centimetre out of the back and about a centimetre at the top of the front, and I've brought that angle back up and in a little bit because I think that was what the problem was. I think the angle was out and nothing else, but I can't say for definite. So today's Friday. Today would have been the upload day. I did put a post up on the community page. If you guys didn't see it, well, I'm sorry. You need to keep an eye on that, and it appears I can now go live as well. They've updated me a little bit, thanks to you guys, some of you new subscribers, and some of the viewings I've got. I can now go live. I think I can go live on the phone. I know I can go live on the computer. I just wasn't sure if I could go live on the phone. Well, I know I couldn't, but now I think I can, because I've put some new thing in. I don't know how it is, but I think YouTube's starting to realise that they need to help us creators a bit more than what they are. When she came into power, that managing director, she went over the top greedy. Anyway, there is the rear bumper. I ran out of bed liner, so I couldn't do inside those two. But we have got that one done now. Which I'm quite pleased about. I need to add a bit more hammerite underneath. There's an area you're not going to see inside those tubes as well. We don't want rust dribbling everywhere. But these are now officially ready to put back on the vehicle. I'm going to put the front one on with the headlights, but they're coming off again because I want to store them on my pallet. But what I also want to do is wire all of the lights in place. So I need to get some trailer wire from somewhere and start drilling holes and putting the number plate on, putting the plate lights in, putting the fog lamps in the back, blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? Reverse sensors popped in position. I just want to get this perfect. That bed liner, that can was nearly empty, and that went on way better on the back of here than it did. That's really, really coarse. Oh, excuse me. On the front, really coarse. But on the back, it didn't come out so bad. Right, tomorrow morning I'll bring the camera out and we'll do one last final clip of this bolted in place, and then we'll upload, hopefully. So all I've got left to do on that bumper and headlights is, unfortunately, the headlights are not sitting as level as they need to. Now I could reposition the holes, but because I've already painted them, because that's where I assumed they would be sitting, you see, I will have to maybe cut the steel brackets instead and raise the height and shove them over slightly to one side. The near side bracket needs lifting a little higher anyway, because it is a bit low. I didn't quite get it where it was meant to. The spot lamps themselves, yeah, they're a little out as well. The driver's side one has got to be spun about, so I'm going to have to take that off, re-drill some holes and re-screw that in. The winch is just resting at the moment. That's got to go through a restoration because it's filthy dirty and paint's peeling. And you're not seeing that at its maximum yet because we've still got indicators to go on the wings, and they're very close to what look like early Jeep. They're actually BMC FG indicators, I believe, that are going on this, but I've got to polish the plastics up before I even consider that, and I've got to clean the mudguards up. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you approve, because I am over the moon with this, absolutely 100%. All of the mouthing off that I've received, all the money that's been spent, the time and the effort has all paid off. This is now starting to turn into a proper 4x4. Now we've just got to get the rest of it finished. We should have it on the road this summer. Right, the back mudguard has been painted up and is now dry. We've just got to hammer right in here just to seal up all the rust. But there you go, that's done. I'm happy with this. That's now ready to go back on the back. Very happy with that. So what's next on the agenda? Right, well, that's quite simple. I have me a pallet over here. We're going to buy a plastic sheet. Then we're going to lay everything on there. We're going to leave it to the elements because I want to see what goes rusty. And then I can touch in with some satin paint black when we've discovered what issues we have. Headlight bezels also need replacing. They're oddball, neither of them match. One has the screw piece underneath, the other does not. They're not going to stay on, they're going to fall off. So we need to get those headlights straightened up. The bottom brackets, actually thinking about it, these bottom brackets haven't been dealt with yet. So I could cut them and then lift one end up and then weld. And that would bring the lights parallel or straight, whatever you want to call it. I am so happy with that. She has eyes. It really is starting to look like something now. We've got to fill up that roof area, grind that back, fill it. I have now come up with a colour. I know, I'm finicky. Alright, I think that's the word. I was going green with this. Since at this point in time, I've now changed my mind yet again. So we're going black on all the ancillaries, mudguards, but I now want to go desert colour on the rest of the vehicle because I think that would suit it better. just one plain colour from front to back. The reason for it is we're used to seeing that colour. Most off-roaders of this sort of era that I'm trying to capture would be green. I want to be a little bit different, so I'm going to go desert colour with that now. It might even work with the wood, because the wood is a similar colour, you see. So we might get away with those doors, and we might get away with the wood on the side if I go desert colour, because the wood will or should blend in. That's the other reason behind it. Green would be a little bit difficult to blend it in. So we've got the rock sliders to powder coat up, what am I talking about? Bed line up. The mirrors will probably get done as well. You know, all these stalks. The mud guards have got to be done. Just these bits, nothing else. Once I've sanded them back, filled them, cut them to shape. Next week I think we're going to deal with the back doors. I think we're going to fill in all these areas here. We're going to put a new bar in across there once we've worked out the heights. Then we're going to fill it all in. And then we're going to look at putting the doors on. I think that is time that job was done. Problem is, I don't know how I'm going to move the truck because I took the winch off. I think what we're going to have to do is power up the starter motor, put it in gear and shunt it forward that way. Disconnecting the damn thing from driving, because we don't want it to go through the house now, do we? There you go. So I would like to say thank you so much for all the likes on the last one. We're at 16 likes so far. I did say 20, but the viewings are really rubbish. But in defence to you, it was a hell of a long video to watch, and keeping people's interest on long videos is extremely difficult. You need to be a professional video editor, and I am not that. So I've kept this one around about 35 minutes, I'm hoping, subject to the ending that I'm now doing, or the outro. So with that in mind, I'd like to say thank you very much for your likes, any shares you've given. Also, actually, there was a video that I put up during the week regarding some theft that happened in Wales. Please, if you get time, watch the video. I know the guy cusses a bit, so do I, but you can see the passion in the man. He's really quite fired up about, and rightfully so, the stuff that's been stolen. I don't personally think a lot of this is going to come back to the owner. I'm hoping the Ifor Williams trailer will, but even that is half debatable. I was talking to a scrapyard friend of mine, and he says they are the most easiest thing to steal because the tags can be ripped off and identities can be hidden. I already know this personally because I bought a caravan that I broke, and for over 15 years that trailer that was left was in my front garden, and when I finally cut it up where the number was, I cut through it and somebody had dented the number in, put filler over it and stamped a new number in. I wasn't even aware of it, and they sprayed Galvy paint over the top. That's how easy it is nowadays to thieve. Unfortunately, I couldn't give the caravan back because I smashed it up for interior parts a long time ago, unaware of the situation. So that is how easy it is to steal trailers, unfortunately, and I hope these rogues get caught. I really do. Like the guy says on the video, it needs to stop. People work their asses off for this stuff, and then some little scrotum comes in and just helps themselves. It's wrong on multiple levels. I had an RD200 stolen, which is why I posted the video up in the early 90s, and that completely destroyed me because that RD then was a rare bike. Now it's even rarer. I never saw it again. It was gone. So yeah, if you get time, please look at the video. He's convinced that it will be sold in that area. I'm not. I think stuff that they took is going to find its way London, Essex way, maybe even Scotland, south east, west. It'll end up all over the place, because they're not going to want to get caught with it in Wales. It's too obvious, and Wales has a lower population anyway. They would make more money selling it in London direction, Essex. That's where I think all this stuff is going to end up. So if you're a Land Rover owner, 4x4 enthusiast, or if you're a builder and you get offered a Knife Williams trailer, please report it to the police if you are suspicious. There's also a roof rack, a roof tent, a kiddie's quad bike. They even stole a kiddie's quad bike. If you find that or get offered one of those, please report it. Watch the video, please, if you get time. I'd be very grateful. With that in mind, I'd like to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Bye.